Okay, concept stream time, finally, yay. I think maybe potentially, as long as we, I don't know, this is a plan. We're going to go over my game idea, which I've been building on for like the last basically 4 or 5 years, and I'm going to present some concepts and stuff. That's the idea, that's the plan. All right, so I want to start off by saying a quick note. It's a note. Okay. So this is for solely demonstrating the concept. So everything being worked upon here is my work. Some of the like the images shown are not mine. They're from the internet. I've used them to kind of help me explain some ideas. And to kind of get my idea across. So not the images aren't mine usually. There's a few in there that are mine that have been developed by me, but some aren't. Some are stripped off the internet, some have been edited, and yeah, some have been rewritten and done stuff with. But all of the writing and a few of the images and stuff is my work. But some isn't, just letting you know. There's a lot of imagery used here from online. And yeah, so this is just for the fact of kind of just sharing my passion. This isn't for showing off or anything, so please don't take it that way. This is solely for me wanting to explain my ideas as, like, I don't know, a game concept, like, I don't know. I don't have a title for myself. I've just thought of this idea, so this is my idea. I just want to present it, like, how I, like, envision this game to be. And yeah, that's basically what I am. So yeah, that's that. I want to say that you're welcome to draw inspiration from these ideas. These ideas are just ideas. They are my thoughts and feelings and things that have been put together. But I do ask, please, please, please don't steal these ideas. Please don't claim them to be your own ideas. Please, I'm begging. All I ask, just don't use them. Like, you're welcome to draw inspiration. You're welcome to use your own concepts. But please make your own concepts when you're making your own stuff. For stories or otherwise. I have a lot planned with this. I've basically minimized spoilers in this. So yeah, you can't draw a lot of things out. You can't draw a lot of blood with it. But yes, you can technically draw some ideas. You can draw inspiration off of it. Please don't take the ideas as your own. That's all I ask. I am offering people, if they want to join the development process, because this is going to be a lot of work. This is going to be a hell lot of work. An indie game is not usually done by one person. If it's done by one person, it's just like, it must be insane. But yes, you can ask to help me through the development process in whatever way. You can contact me on Discord or similar means, email, whatever. And this is by your own volition. So this is completely done by just wanting to contribute to the passion project, and this will be totally unpaid, totally, like, completely separate from everything. It's just, if you want to contribute, I'm not saying no, because this is going to be a hard process. It's going to be a long process. I have a lot of things to learn and work on and all of this, and I'm happy to include you in the credits and stuff if you do contribute in whatever way that is, even if it is support. I am more than happy to contribute in that way. I don't even need anything from you in like that. This is all if you want to. If you like the idea, you're welcome to like help along the way, because why not? Why not, right? But yeah, you're more than welcome to contact me, because yeah, this is not something you generally is done alone. But thank you all for generous offers. I very much appreciate it. Very much so. We do have to touch on some trigger warnings just to be also safe, because we don't want to trigger anything specifically here. So if there is things that are triggering to you in this list, we do ask that if you need to take a bit of a step back, you don't have to be here. There is very, very, very limited mention of it, but these are topics that are in the game. These are triggers that are in the game and will be in the game, very present. I've tried to minimize it on this presentation to make it as comfortable as possible, but there is still mention of it, so I'm going to read it out if you can't actually see it as well, and just explain. Um, don't worry about dyslexia. I'm just about to read it. So these are trigger warnings. So be prepared. You know, there's hospitals and related topics talking about and discussing the nature of death and grief, depression, anxiety, and brief mention of unaliving. In the game, very, very limited though. I want to minimize that, but there is some scenes that do potentially have that, just because of the character's past and trauma and experiences and stuff. Also heart conditions and related issues, so heart problems, stuff like that. Trauma. We need some spice. There's a lot of that. The game is literally unpacking someone's trauma and recovering from it. So that's basically the entire concept of the game. At its ground, at its core level, it's going through and adapting and growing past someone's experiences, someone's negative experience with life. So if any of those are potentially negative for you, if you are triggered in any way to these, you are welcome to step back. You don't have to stay here. I'm not forcing you to be here. But yeah, if I say that I haven't made a character without some sort of trauma, I would be lying. Yes, trauma is a very good way to really nail down some character development, because you can do a lot with it. It's very adaptable. It's very flexible because you can, it very much is. So those are the triggers. I will be progressing now. Okay, so when you guys know what genre is. Genre is the basic kind of idea of what exactly the game looks like in terms of its broad scope. Like, how would you define a game? Like, that's what a genre is. And when I think of this, like, that's, for this specific game, it's a story-based RPG. It's a story-based RPG at its heart. It's a story-based RPG. I love RPGs. I have very much loved RPGs since I was basically maybe 12, 13. Have been into them for a while. You guys would probably know that. You guys would have probably seen that. I love role players. I love them, especially when they're story-based and have like a really deep meaning to it as well. It is incredibly emotionally driven. I love emotionally driven stories. I've loved them very, very much so. They hold a very special place in my heart when they have like an emotional story that you keep invested in. That's how you connect with your player. That's how you connect with people. You draw on emotion. You pull them in with that. And that's kind of my basis of that. I want to get this emotionally attaching character, pull the player in, and like be a part of that character's life. It is not a first-person shooter at all. So get the shooter out of here. It has nothing to do with the game. But yes, if you love first-person shooters, I have no problem with that. I don't like first-person shooters. I hate them, personally. That's my opinion. And yeah, that's that. But you're welcome to love first-person shooters, but this is not a first-person shooter at all. This game does have multiple characters, so you play different positions of different roles of different characters. So it's not just limited to one main character. I'm only going to be touching on one of the main characters, the main focus protagonist core character of this game. The rest I wanted to keep kind of out of the story till now. Till later on, when the game is actually, in development. That's when I'll go on about them. But there are multiple characters when you can play, and that's the idea with that. So it's not just going to be one main character that you play, but several. I think last time I had it with 6. I don't know if it's actually going to be able to play all 6, but that's the idea. Some inspirations are to the side. That side, I think. Is it that side? No, that side. That side. Opposite sides. So Undertale being the main one. Undertale was a hard hitter for me as kind of preteen, teen, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly the age I was. I loved Undertale. I've loved Undertale very much so. Undertale has a very special place in my heart. Toby Fox himself. I am a very big Toby Fox fan. A Toby Fox nerd. and I love his games. I love the content that he makes, and I basically wanted to kind of that is kind of my core, my grounding of like, this was Undertale, this is my game. I love Undertale. I'm going to draw off some elements of it, but not use like them. I'm going to draw off some elements, but do it in my style, basically. The second one is just a kind of something from Twitter. I can't remember the game name. I can look it up. I can't look it up real quick. Bit later. But basically, it was kind of feel that I, like, looking at in terms of like what perspective I wanted to do it from. So it's like kind of like a top down, but it's slightly curved. So Undertale is like top down to side on. I want it to be like a little bit more that angle, if that makes any sense. Kind of like look at it from a top, like you're observing from like a screen, and it's kind of tilted that way. Diagonal, sorta, yeah, like that. That's the second one. The one that's like the light blue one. I don't know if you can see my mouse. No, you can't see my mouse. That's the second one under the Undertale one, which is the castle one. Third inspiration being Deltarune. Obviously, same concept, Undertale. Undertale, Deltarune are very similar, but they are very different games. But yes, they are similar. Yes, they have different, similar worlds, but they are very different games. I very much view them as different games and draw inspiration on them in different ways. So I want to take, mostly what I've taken from Undertale is kind of like the Deltarune is a battle system. What's shown the third one, that's not actually real Deltarune, that's a mod that someone's made, but I kind of want something along the lines of that, but not turn-based. That is going to probably sound weird. So I want some battles to be turn-based, but a lot aren't going to be turn-based. I actually want it to be real-time kind of strategy, but like also not. So it's weird how I explain it. I don't know how to explain it. This is kind of the thing that I've been working on a lot in the background. So you have like these options. So like to fight, to use an item, to heal or use magic, or to defend yourself. And all of this is decided in real time. So there's like a timer that you can select your item with whilst you're dodging. Like the enemy's attacks, because I want it to be like you're dodging the enemy's attacks actively, like the Undertale system, but it's in real time, so it's not turn-based, but it kind of is turn-based. Like the enemy goes, you're still dodging, and you like when you have an opportunity, you then strike if you want to strike, or you do something like an action when you do feel like you can do the action. There is a mechanic in this that I don't really want to explain just yet, until I get to the character, and then I can explain a little more detail. And the fourth inspiration is Omori. Omori is this wonderful, fantastic game, which is probably one of my favorite games. Has been one of my favorite games for a long while, ever since it's released. It's kind of like horror but RPG, but yeah, it's a very much mix. It jumps from cute, cuddly RPG to absolute horror gonna scare your face off. My game is not horror. It is not horror at all. Yes, that is Omori. Yes, that is what Omori is. Yes, very much so. I don't know who Ashley Graves is, or anything like that. But that is Omori, yes. My game has nothing to do with that side, but I want to get, like, the hard-hitting kind of feel of Omori. The heart behind Omori. It's like the player gets invested in Omori's story. Like, they draw upon the emotion, and they get really hard hit. That's what I'm aiming at. Like, that, like, the elements of that. Not taking from Omori specifically, like the horror elements. There's no horror elements, basically whatever, wherever. Like, there is potentially one side which you could see as horror, like an ending that you could see as horror, like a path, because there is multiple paths, there's multiple endings, but that has to be like basically forced by the player in order to do that. The world has been a long time in development. It's probably been one of the longest, apart from characters. I've really wanted to narrow it down to exactly the feel that I kind of wanted. Yes, there are multiple endings. Yes. I don't know if it's actually going to be possible, but yes, I want to do multiple endings. The world, I want it to be dystopian. I love dystopias. I am a huge fan of sci-fi dystopias. Like, you have this really cool sci-fi world that's drifted into like a disrupted feel. Like it's downfall and it's crumbled, it's crashed down. You've gone into this like this cyberpunk metropolis and it's been destroyed. That I really love and draw upon very much so. So I've really wanted to draw upon that. So I've kind of gone from bottom to top of the development of the kind of city. So this is all focused around the kind of a central city, but it also does involve the world. But it's mainly placed in the city and has various impacts on its environment. So we go from this like cute green like grassy village area into a more developed kind of Victorian era, into a building city, into a cyberpunk kind of like that, and then it gets destroyed and demolished and kind of ends up crumbling on itself, ending in the last red one where it's like just ruins. These are pretty. These are taken off the internet. They are not mine. This is just trying to piece together what exactly I'm trying to convey. Like, I've kind of stolen these off the internet. Just a little. But it's like, that's exactly kind of like the development of this city, how it's like gone through its downfall. I'm not going to say how it's gone down because that's spoilers. Kind of like the Roman Empire. Yes, exactly like that. Kind of like the Roman Empire being built and then destroyed. But instead of the Roman Empire, it's a cyberpunk kind of high-tech, advanced society thing. You know, that kind of sci-fi feel. Like, you know, the Cyberpunk 77 feel, you know? But it's gone horribly wrong. Like, terribly wrong. It's gone absolutely destroyed and, like, crumbled. Like that. That's the world. That in itself has been a little bit of a development, but yeah, that's that. Where Moon, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to be focusing on just yet, because that's for in a bit. Next thing, style is a very big thing for me. Like, when it comes to a game, the game has to look aesthetically pleasing. Like, how do you make a game aesthetically pleasing but also keep its heart? I've loved pixel art for a long time. Pixel art conveys something. I don't know what it is about it, but like as much as I love high graphically quality things like the 1080p or like the you know, that kind of development, there's something really warm about pixel art. It's kind of nostalgic. Like, I want to go for that kind of style. Where it's like kind of that cute, that kind of like little warm and kind of fuzzy-ish style, where it's like top down, side on, like I was explaining to you before, but also have some complex scenery as well. So have some like scenes in it that are a lot more advanced, like the second image there with like that bedroom kind of a feel. Like, it's this very, very, very vivid image. I want it to have like that feel, like a Mori does. Like, it goes from the pixel art into like the high definition scenes, but it's only the high definition scenes in very limited spots. That's something I also took from Mori. It's hard to do, yeah, pixel art is hard to do, 100%, but it's well worth it in the end. I want to take some pixel art classes and try and work it out, and try and piece it all together. A lot easier to work with, 100%. So I don't have to work out 3D modeling or anything like that when when you have pixel art, which is a lot simpler. Also pay attention to that third image very, very closely. I'm not going to say anything else, but that third image, that's very important. But that's for later. I'm not going to say anything else about that, but that's very stylistic. I found I was like, that is like perfect to something that I want to convey. So keep that in mind. I'm going to move on. Protagonist time. When you have a game, you need a protagonist. So, the protagonist was actually one of the first things I had in mind, when it came to this idea. So, you know, this is that. This is mine. This character that's shown here, this is one of the only sprites I have of the game currently. But I don't know if this is final. But basically that. Probably not as advanced. But yeah, that's mine. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. So you can't see the name, but their name is Raylene. They are autistic. I wanted to make an autistic character, as I am autistic myself. And they have a potential fatal heart condition as well. I love the way you do the shading. Thank you. This was done ages ago, and I've forgotten everything. What's her name? It's Raylene. I can move my camera just a little. Where's my camera source? There you go. Well, that kind of, yeah. Raylene. Lene. That. Yeah, there. Yep, that. So yeah, that's them. They have a potentially fatal heart condition. They also have a fear of hospitals. We'll touch on that later. My God, that's my mum's name. Oh no, it's definitely not your mother. I don't think, unless your mother had an older sister who is no longer alive. Yeah, and that's kind of the concept of the game. That's a lot of the trauma, a bit of it at least, a fair segment of it. There's a lot of other trauma. So yeah, that's that. Your mum. It's not your mum. It is not Froggy's mum. I can assure you. I don't think. My mum's the oldest of 3 sisters. Okay, well, it's definitely not her then. It can't be her. It's definitely not. Well, that's good. At least we can narrow that one down. My gosh. But yeah, there is all of that. That's the main character. I'm not gonna touch a lot on them because a lot of it is spoilers. I have to be very careful when it comes to that. There is a lot of spoils when it comes to this because, yeah, it's a very sensitive thing. I didn't want to touch on it hugely. I want to touch on a little bit. Can I hug them? Yes, you can hug them. They very much love hugs. They have been deprived of hugs, actually. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to say anything else. Moving on. The magic system. Magic is one of my fun things. Oh no, ads. Ew, ads. We're gonna wait till the ads are over. I'm holding for the ads. There we go. Okay, hug Raylene. Yes, we big hug. See, if Froggy sips on spice, is dyslexic mind dancing with trauma and RPGs. Spud muses over forgotten triggers and undeveloped characters. Jay offers their talents and Eric fuels their night with a monster energy. Pixel art praise and Caraboss escapes. A new character names are Raylene emerges, constantly sharing a name with Froggy's mom. Oh my gosh. We'll wait till the ads are over, until, yeah, we get that. But yeah. I'm so glad to hear that you're all actually, like, enjoying this. I'm actually so glad. I'm so glad that I get to share this kind of passion and interest with you guys. It's actually really amazing. I'm really glad you guys are actually really vibing to this. I wasn't expecting this. I love this so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I wasn't expecting this outcome. I just thought people would just be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But people are actually catching on and like, hold on, this is actually, yeah. You have no idea how much times I've been watching this VOD. Just skip the part of your mother unless you really want me to experience me yelling at her again. But fair, there's a lot of info, and we haven't even covered a lot of the info yet. This is kind of the base starting point. Is everybody out of the ads? Theoretically, yeah, I want to know. I'm watching all at Mum pure entertainment. Yes, it is very much entertainment. Let me know when you guys are out of the ads, so I can make sure everyone is good and we can continue. I love RPG games, especially when they have representations of mental health and potentially fantastical elements. There is a lot of fantastical elements. Yes. There is a lot. There is magic. There is stuff involved. I'm not yet ads yet. Okay. I don't think a lot of people have been ads. I am going to say that in this world, the magic system and person's mental health are intertwined. So if their mental health is bad, they get a lot of magical abilities. Plus, when the game is out, I modded with the creator. Facts, man. Facts. Actual facts. So yeah, I am involving mental health and disabilities like in part of the magic system. I get a lot of magic. Yeah, exactly. And that happens. That's involved. I wanted to do that. That's an inspiration off of Brandon Sanderson, by the way. If you have not read his works, I definitely recommend it. Especially the Stormlight Archive. Very, very good. So yeah, my mana is insane. It's through the roof. It's not exactly mana, which we're talking about. It's more the actual abilities that a person would have. So the abilities and their mental health are interlinked. It's not about the amount of magic, but more about what the magic can do. So the magic system is trait defined. So I've separated it into basically 10 different parts. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay, 9 different parts. 9 different parts with a 10th kind of outlier. These not related to the 9 deadly sins. No, they are not related at all to the 9 deadly sins. It is not. No, not at all. But one of the magic systems in this magic system is related to the 9 deadly sins, yes. But this is not my work, the artwork, but it was done for me. It was basically commissioned by an old friend of mine. So they did take my inspiration, which was my drawing of what I wanted, and they did do this. So that is a commission that was done by a friend. So that and technically it's mine, but yeah, complications, but they said I'm able to use it, and they're welcome for me to use it in whatever format I'm welcome to. Is it bad now I'm imagining role play with your concept? No, that's awesome. I love that so much. And you haven't even seen a lot of the underlying facts of Raylene just yet. There's a lot there. There's a lot. But I'm not going to say anything yet. Spoilers. So yeah, the magic system is split into 9 different parts. I want to basically express each of the different parts through a boss. So yes, there's going to be at least 9 bosses, each one with a different ability. I'm not going to say anything else about the number of bosses, because there is a few. I can say there is more than 9, but that's all I'm going to say. Raylene is amazing, even though they are sadly not my mother. They are amazing. We love them very much. They are a lovely being who has gone through so much, but I'm not gonna, yeah. So the main 2 that we're going to be focused on that Raylene has is, healing and teleportation. So orange and blue. These are technical. So each of the traits are individually, like, they have their own ability, but the ability depends on their mental health status, and what it involves and their disability and it impacts. We'll touch on that soon, about exactly what that entails. There's a lot of we'll catch up on this, just let me get the basics. There's a lot of we'll get there. There's a lot of that. But yeah, we call the teleportation jumping in this instance because it works. I didn't want to use the name teleportation. I am thinking of, of a lot of different names for these kind of things. So yeah, we're getting there. I'm like half the way through. Okay, now this is a whole different thing. This is the status bar. There's a lot here. Don't worry, we're going to break this down. We are breaking this down, so don't worry. We're getting there. This will be all broken down into individually. Pretty colors. There are lots of pretty colors. Lots of pretty colors. We're going to dive into these individually because there's a lot here. But yes, pretty colors. Obviously, we have the main health bar, which is the health bar, which is red. Orange is our magic meter, magic capacity. So that's kind of the teleportation jumping side of things. So that's that. That's the orange meter below the red. Then the circle is the focus point. We're going to go into that soon. That's important. Then the bar on the side to the left, the purple bar, is the focus energy. Then the gems we're calling anchor stones, which are collected by the bosses. Just replace the colors from the image before. So that one. And the weird hearts, not excluding the bottom left. The bottom left is from Heartbound, which is what's Pirate Software's game. So I'm not related to him in terms of things, but I'm taking kind of the aspect because I'm inspired by his work. Is the spirit health, so it's the bottom right, not the bottom left. The bottom left was just the inspiration of where that came from. So yeah, that's that. We're going to delve into these individually, so don't worry. We're getting there. So for the jumping, the orange bits, I'm thinking about doing, basically they're the save points, the portals. So you create your own save points, basically wherever you kind of want. And yeah. Okay, so this one I'm wiggling. This one is kind of the one I'm looking at. This also was taken off the internet, but imagine this, but blue instead of purple. Candy cane, yeah, but not candy cane either. I just wanted the half heart. That's the main idea, the half heart. We'll get to that in a second, in a bit. Yes, we'll get there. But yeah, it's not candy canes. It's just the concept, like the idea of it has nothing to do with candy canes. It's just more the half. That's what I mean. It's supposed to be orange and blue, but orange and purple works as well. We don't talk about it. Okay, let's break this all down because there is a lot that's here. And there's even more here. Look, I get hyper-focused. Okay, so don't scream at me. I know there is a lot of text here. I'm going to break it down. There's a lot of ideas. I get hyper-focused. I'm sorry. It's the autistic hyper-focused. Okay, let's start off with the focus point. The focus point, if you can see, it's the circle thing that's in the kind of bar, the status bar next to the red, orange, and purple bars. So this is a relic. This is something that is an actual item in the game, but it's also shown in the status bar. It's basically, the lore behind it is that it concentrates on a single element hold within it, and that whatever's held in it, the power is dramatically increased. And this is why this was actually one of the few things, well, not this one exactly. So this focus point was actually a very large device that was used to actually power the city, the cyberpunk city that we were talking about before. So it's kind of like my own take on nuclear power, but it's focused on elemental power through the different elements, the magical elements. So yeah, it was used as the power source in the power grid in our world's prime growth, which was in the cyberpunk kind of stage. This one that's in our status bar is a very small, it's condensed version. It's like this, basically the size of my palm is the idea of it. It's very condensed, kind of like a size of a pocket watch. And it is actually disguised as one in the game. I'm not going to tell you why. But yeah, it's basically a lot smaller, but still very capable of getting the power. Due to the shrinking of it, though, the energy output isn't as much as the large one, because obviously, like, the larger the better, right? Like, if you have something huge that's drawing on a huge amount of power, you can have a lot of power. When it's small, it's smaller and a small amount of power, thus you get still greater power, but it's smaller. But it can only handle limited usage at a time. This is just so for the game because we don't want to abuse the power. So there is cooldown between uses of the ability, and a longer cooldown between multiple uses. So if you use it multiple times, there is a cooldown, and the law is so that the element isn't affected. So the focus energy, which was focused on before, so the purple bar, is basically the capacity of how many times it can be used in conjunction at once until it has to recharge again. It has to reach the bar full if you use it all. So yeah, that's that. How's this game going to fight piracy? Not sure yet. Will there be an anti-piracy system? I want there to be, yes, but I don't know how to do that. I've seen that Pirate Software uses Steam achievements to do that. I might take a similar route, I don't know, but I feel like it would also be good if I could make it so that the anti-piracy system was limited just to files, just to get the law kind of more accurate. Because in this future, Steam doesn't theoretically exist, because it's, it's complicated. I'll get there. Sure, we'll get there eventually. Let's just work on the game first, then we can focus on how we're going to make it anti-piratable. Okay. Anchor stones. The anchor stones kind of were a little idea, just to kind of do some things. And yeah, so basically, since the focus point can only handle one element at a time, we're going to be using the anchor stones very much in the game. So, why this specific one is purple. It's been purple all the way through. In the world, it wasn't always purple. It could have multiple different elements. I thought you were going to sleep, Mama. I thought you were going to sleep. Anyways. So it can have multiple different elements. It could hold any one of those elements, right? But you've seen mostly just the purple one. That's because we're going to be using the anchor stones with the focus point. So the purple is the ability of basically time travel. This is where it starts to get weird. Okay, so purple is the element of time travel, the element of time, and basically the anchor stones are going to be collected also by bosses, mostly by bosses, not always by bosses, but mostly, and each of those anchor stones is linked to a certain time period in the world's history. So you know how I was saying earlier, I'm not going to tell you where we're going to focus on. That's because we're actually going to be visiting it's possible to visit potentially all of the time periods that are listed plus more. So there's multiple different layers. You can travel through time to these different layers that are connected to these anchor stones through the focus point. So yeah, you select the focus point, you select the anchor stone, and then use the focus point to basically travel to the time period connected to that stone. So some of these stones are held by a boss, but some of them are also not. Some of them are not held by a boss, and you can find them. But that's that. In this instance, each of the stones is being kept in a separate time. So the anchor stone, let's say the blue anchor stone, would be kept in a time that is not the blue time. The time that's attached to the blue stone. In this instance, I believe the orange stone is being held in the purple time zone, the purple time area, and that's your first stone to get. And basically, what the bosses are trying to do in this instance, they are seeking to destabilize the time they are in for reasons of their own. I'm not going to touch on the reasons, but basically they have the anchor stones, which are linked to different times, and basically their anchor stones, are infecting the time they are in with the other time. That is why this image is so important to me. You can kind of see it's mostly orange, but the blue is kind of leaking in. So that's kind of instance of what I wanted to do. So, like, it's just like this a leak in of this separate time into another time, which is causing this infection, basically, of destabilizing time. And basically, what Raylene is trying to do is stop this destabilization of time because it's bad. I'm going to explain why it's bad in a little bit. Each of these anchor stones have their own different power, which the bosses abuse in the game, which they aren't time-based, but yeah, they have their own abilities, but Raylene cannot actually access these abilities at all. So yeah, that's that. Raylene can only use them to travel between times. Unless something specific happens. But yeah, we're not going to talk about that. So yeah. Now, we have this weird dynamic. Also, hi Dino Barbecue, BBG. Well, I'll just call you Dino for short. I hope you're doing wonderfully well today. I'm currently explaining my game concept idea to the stream. That's what's happening here. So, yeah, this is what's happening. You're coming in the middle of a this is my TED Talk, practically. Okay, so I kind of touched on this already, kind of, but I'm going to explain a little more detail. The focus point, usually a magic user with the same ability as the selected element in the focus point, so a purple magic user having the purple focus point would be able to use that generated energy to add to their own abilities. So like that, they would be able to draw off the power, the energy, right? And a magic user with a different ability to what's being held, so let's say an orange one with a purple focus point, it would be entirely useless unless the focus point was broken, which would result in a gigantic explosion of the stored element. So it would be like a gigantic explosion of time, which would probably wreck the time-space continuum, but we're not going to talk about that. Just don't drop it. Yes, universes have been ended by dropping a focus point. Thank you so much for that follow, Dino. I appreciate that very much so. I hope you enjoy the comfy cozy chaos that we have here. So you would say, hold on a second. Raylene does not have the purple element, so wouldn't the focus point be practically useless, as you're saying? Normally, under circumstances, yes, this is true. If Raylene was normal, then yes, it would be practically useless. But Raylene is not normal, so they're a bit of a different case. Their magic is a bit weird. As I said, they mentioned they have very they've been through some traumatic events and have presented signs to it, and basically they can draw the energy of basically kind of anything that they have in their hands and external sources, and use it to empower themselves. Because they're a natural people pleaser, they take on, so not only do they take on people's kind of like, you know, expectations and everything like that, but they also take on the energy from around them as well, and even if it's not their normal energy. And this external source also would include the focus point. So, there is no such thing as normal life. It would be boring otherwise. Exactly. So in this case, Raylene using the orange and blue magic would use the purple energy too, because they're able to draw upon it as well because trauma. And basically, can combine in all these powers being activated at the same time. In this specific case, Raylene is jumping, transporting through the purple focus, which is time. They're jumping through time to heal themselves of trauma. These times are actually linked to their trauma as well, so it's going through their kind of experiences, and kind of experiencing them again to kind of heal through them and kind of develop through them, develop past them in order to grow and heal. That's that concept. We add these stones to the mix. Yeah, that's a whole different layer. So yeah, they can magical healing invention. Exactly that. And so the times are determined by the focused the anchor stones. That should be anchor stone, not focus stone. I don't know why I wrote that. By the anchor stones selected. And there are 9 layers of time in this one place. Usually there's only 6, which are generally achievable because there's only 6 bosses with stones. The others are hidden throughout the game. These last 3 hold the kind of special answers which you'll kind of be looking for throughout the game, and the true ending is finding all of these and doing everything in these 3 different places, and healing fully past it. Otherwise we blame it on ignorance, and basically kind of a treasure hunt too. Exactly, it's a treasure hunt to kind of find the last 3 stones in order to properly fully heal through the experiences that Raylene has gone through. Now, I slightly forgot to mention a few details, specifically about how this mechanic works. So, you remember that there are lots of Easter eggs that I planned. Lots of Easter eggs, a ton. Lots of Easter eggs, lots of cheat codes. Yes, there's plenty. I have a lot. Don't worry. A lot of references too. I've hidden a lot of references. So yeah, remember that Fatal Heart condition we were talking about? So yeah, that's kind of important because technically it's intertwined with their mental state. So technically it's also important in their magic system. So, whenever so she has a pacemaker that makes her heart beat right now because it's fatal heart condition. Their abilities activate whenever it beats for them. So they transport through time and also heal through the trauma. Well, to potentially heal through the trauma every time that their pacemaker kicks in. And we, the player, is actually in control of that pacemaker making a heart beat. So, it's actually, I planned out the button to be the space bar. We'll touch on exactly how that's going to work in just a second. But anytime that a player presses the space bar to make the heart beat when it's necessary, that also triggers the abilities all happening at once. So they jump through the time selected when you press the spacebar, which also keeps them alive. If you don't press the spacebar after a certain amount of time, they die. Well, the game is over in that instance. You go back to your previous save. So there's a bit of pressing the space bar, especially throughout the first bit of the game, but you can get upgrades to make it a little bit less present. Basically you kind of restoring your heart over the time. So every kind of, at the end of every boss area, that becomes a little bit less painful to do. It becomes a little bit longer that you don't have to press that button. That button is basically their life support, kind of. It's doing a lot of the work for them. Thank you for the stretch. I appreciate that. And the player is going to be basically supporting their life support. Thank you for that, Baba. I appreciate that. I would love some food. That would be amazing. I'm not done yet. I've got a lot to go. I've got a lot to go. So thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's that. We are life support for them, and that life support also happened to be connected to their magic, which then, so every time you press the space bar, they transport through time and also keeps them alive. This is important in the game. I'm not going to say why, but that's the kind of element of that. So how exactly does this work? Well, that is basically what this heart is for. This heart is related to all of that. This is what we call the spirit health, obviously orange and blue, is basically how much health you have stored in your spirit, in Raylene's spirit, which is keeping Raylene sustained, and you must have, in the game, at least one of these hearts filled at all times. In order to fill these, the player presses the spacebar, which also activates the focus point to teleport Ray through the anchor stone selected. So, yeah, it temporarily heals the spirit health by activating the focus point and also pressing space, which is kind of the coping mechanism. It's a strategy. Yeah, so this spirit health is actually different from the normal health. So the normal health is the body health, the spirit health is the spirit health. You are, as a player, are pressing spacebar to keep that spirit health at least one full. If that one full is gone, then game is over. You have to start back where the last save point was. Okay, so now let's shove it all together. After this, we'll shove it all together, have a bit of a food break, and yeah. So when you shove it all together, it looks a little crazy. It looks a little nuts. It is a lot. I do have to say it is a lot. There is a lot to cover here. So basically, like, the top left is kind of what I imagine the kind of GUI to look like. You have the stones, you have the status bar, you have the spirit health above that, and you can jump between the different places whilst being an interactive kind of hub world. It looks a lot. And this isn't even touching on the story yet. This is just the concepts of the game. We're not even touching the story yet. We've got 9 different layers of the same world, 6 of which you'd normally experience. You have magic, a very complicated main character, and the player has to keep them alive in multiple different ways, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot of complicated elements, and we're not even covered fully on the plot and the characters yet. So there's a lot here. There's a lot there. So as you can imagine, it's not an easy thing to just make, because there's just a lot. Shoving this all together, it's pretty complex, I would say, at least. Okay, so let's touch on the world. There's a lot of text here. I know, I got carried away. I have no idea what this is, but it's good. It's got chicken and it's kind of soupy. I don't know. It's a concoction of things. I don't know, man. It's something. The world map is beautiful. Oh, thank you. It is good food. It's good food. It's amazing food. I love it so much. This is the map. Don't ask me how long it took. So basically, this is the world that we're going to be mostly in. Obviously different time periods of this world. And most of it is going to be held in the city. There are bits and pieces that are outside of it. But yeah, a lot of it is kind of that central city, kind of feel that things happen in. It's kind of the main focus point of the story. So yeah, so kind of lore behind it. It's a mountainous land consisting of 3 interconnected countries. So there's Arendia, there's the Macedonia, and the Dios. And these are held together by several suspension bridges. So yeah, they're being held together by bridges. We don't talk about how that works, but yeah, it's fine. They're pretty sturdy bridges. Can't wait till it begins a proper game. Oh, that's gonna take probably several years. But yeah, It's a very lush forest area, lots of mountains, cliff faces. Terrain is pretty tough, sometimes dangerous, and it's waterlocked country as well. Technically, make it several islands. I don't know how you decided to call it. It's kind of like Australia in a sense. Arendia is the more main town, the more main kind of country place, whatever you like to call it. I don't really have a name for it. I call it a mega country together, but it doesn't really matter. It's more just this is the world. This is what it is. I mean, this is a small portion of the actual world. The actual world has a lot more. This is just a mega country that's in the world. We're not going outside the scope though. That's a whole entire different thing. So yeah, it's waterlocked. Has lots of harbors, small towns. The Maysoon doesn't really have those. It's more just there. Arendia is more like the kind of fishing capital. So they do thrive a lot of trade, fishing, coal exports, and yeah, that kind of deal. There was a lot of export, import kind of trade. We're not going to be touching a lot on the trade system in the game, because I know who likes touching on the trade. It's going to be mentioned. It's going to be like there in the game. It's going to be present, but it's not going to be thoroughly explained because I don't like economics. just like I don't like economics, so I'm going to skip past how this makes it perfectly fine. But, you know, exports. People do things. They go places on boats. That's about it. And they get things, and they send things, and they go on boats. Yeah, that's about as far as my brain goes. Okay, so Arendia is home to more people. Obviously, it has the mega city in it. So it's more populated. Duh. He chonky. He is very chonky. The south, was never really developed, because of dragons. There are dragons in the game. There's actually several dragons in the game. Each dragon has its own element, and those elements are tied to the elements that we were talking about earlier. Why do I sense some Genshin? There is no Genshin inspiration. There is none. There is none. I do not like Genshin. I have not played Genshin. Reminds me of my Chunky Boy. We love the Chunky Boys. We love them. We love them to pieces. Cute and squishy. There are dragons, yes. Some of these dragons are actually interactable as well. So yeah. Okay, so the main city that is mainly focused on, we call Leyland City, was never once touched by the dragons, because of magic force field, that they put up pretty early. So yeah, they put up a magic force field so the dragon couldn't come in. So yeah, yippee! But everyone outside the city wasn't so lucky. They could have been impacted as well. The west was dedicated to settlements, kind of just like the main city was kind of more rich focused. The west was kind of just the outcast, you know, magic dragon shield can't get through, how sad. The dragons cause the mountains to exist. They're pretty destructive, so it's not really a sad thing. It's more of they're trying to protect the city from being destroyed. There is a wheel peed in chat if you'd like to poke catch it. Well, most welcome to do so. So yeah. Dragon couldn't get into the city, could get into other areas though. We love dragons. Yes, we do. And the west was dedicated to those who couldn't afford it. And east was never really developed upon, just mostly forests and stuff, mostly just wildlife and everything. So nothing really important, really big there. Maysoon also experienced the dragon activity as well, but never as bad as Arendia. Arendia was just plagued with dragon activity. Most development was kept north. But we don't know what it is. They don't. Nobody knows exactly what the North holds because nobody can get anywhere close to it. We don't know. Well, I know. I know exactly what's there, but you guys don't know and won't know. But it's a pretty large part of the game. Okay. It's hard to carry still, I can imagine, because it's so big. Being so big and chunky. If you need to put him down, you can. Maybe it's forcing you to carry him. Okay, we're gonna go over the basic story of kind of what's happening. He is down. Good, I'm glad. So yeah, he hates me now. Aww. I'm sure he doesn't hate you. Hate is a strong word. Okay, so story. Humanity is overpopulated Earth. The space race fell apart when Musk was suddenly killed. We don't really care, but you know. I wanted to be this kind of realistic, but also like kind of fantasy. So yeah, all other forms of preservation failed. Scientists fled to technology. And basically they made a pocket dimension powered by AI that could store subconscious brains. In its testing phase, the technology was interfered with, and someone was inside when it was interfered with, and basically they were trapped in it. And they need to find a way out, or they want to find a way out before the program breaks on itself entirely. But it's already breaking. So they're wanting to use the breaking to their advantage, and then proceed to make these breakages worse. Oh my gosh, get rid of you when my things decide to actually work. Oh, thank you, Spud. Appreciate that. Had to get up my mod push. I thought they'd gone by now, but no, apparently not. So yeah, they decided to use this breaking to their advantage and actually try to make these worse, involving magic, and then they mixed it with their soul. And basically, your goal as a player, as Raylene, is to stop them breaking the program in whatever means you desire before it is too late. This is inspired off of a lot of kind of sci-fi fantasy films, kind of, you know, basically that. And yeah, it's kind of taken the other way of it, where like it's kind of like a Matrix feel, but not exactly. Matrix feel with magic. So yeah, that's that. What exactly is the Awakening Project? Since that is the name of the game. Well, the thing is, that's the entire point of the game to figure out. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. I'm not going to say anything about it. So that's for you to determine what it is. But I have provided a very, very, very vague element to it, to the side, which most of you would probably recognize. But it's, you know, I'm not going to say anything else. That is all I'm giving you in terms of that. That's kind of the game to figure out what it exactly is. You have that and the name, and that's all I'm giving you. Okay, so beginner items. This is kind of something that I was just like, well, this is an RPG. An RPG has items, so I wanted to use them to my advantage. I wanted to involve getting items pretty early on in the game and kind of have them impact in some way. So this is also intertwined with the different endings. So these different items, there's 4 different items that you can choose from at the very beginning of the game. It's the first thing that you do when you boot up the game. Basically, you are given a choice between 4 different items. Each of these interact with the focus spirit mechanic, as I call it, which we were talking about earlier, which is the orange, purple, blue, all mixing orange, purple, blue, yeah, all mixing together to create the alien character. All of these are intertwined with that mechanic in focus. And they're also tied to different characters in the story as well. These four different items. And when they're used, these items are used around that character can start a whole entire side branching story, which is to help also heal from trauma and stuff. So yeah, that's that basically. I'm going to explain these items very briefly. I'm not going to provide context behind them. I'm not going to explain a lot about what they are. That's more for you to determine, and for the game to kind of explain to you, as the characters will kind of inform you about how they went through that. And yes, these different characters, these four different characters, are theoretically going to be playable as well in these kind of side stories. They all help in some way in getting the essence of what this project actually is, and also help heal from some of the stuff. Okay, so first we have the yo-yo. These ones are the AI's generated. Not usually a fan of AI art, but I couldn't find something that kind of represented my idea in a way that, yeah, Google could. So yeah, I use AI for this. Hopefully you guys don't mind really much. But this is all for the idea of conceptual. The yo-yo basically is something to help with the jumping ability, so the time jumping ability. And basically it helps alongside with that. So every in the game, when I was talking about that focus spirit mechanic, it would basically help alongside that. So instead of you having to press the spacebar every time, it actually comes with the yo-yo comes with its own timer to get you back, but also calls a beat now as well. So it activates the focus point for you and the heartbeat as well. So it heals spirit health. It basically halves the amount of effort that the player has to put in for the focus spirit mechanic. So it makes it easier, a lot easier. And this is one of the ones that I believe I've said this is like the one that is probably recommended to be the item that you play the game with first, as it does come with minimizing effort of you pressing the spacebar every goodness knows how long. Hi Ash, hello, welcome in. We're currently explaining my game concept, so you're welcome to join in on the bandwagon of that. I'm just TED talking basically, and yeah, that's happening. So yippee! Hope you're doing well today, though. I'm also eating at the side because I'm hungry. So the yo-yo can also be used to transport items between the two jump points. So when you go to a different time, your inventory is different in that time as you're in a different time. So it doesn't actually take anything with you that you have in your current time to that time, whilst the yo-yo can actually transport items between time. Because yeah, there's different inventories. But the yo-yo allows you to access this a little bit a bit easier. It can send items between the inventories and jump points as you will. It makes it a lot easier. It's very much just a reductionist kind of thing. I'm not, unfortunately, but we'll live. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We give you big hugs, very big hugs. Very big hugs, very squeezy hugs. I'm sorry to hear that not everything is great right now. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. So yeah, there's a difficulty reduction because you can send items between the jump points. Basically makes the game a ton more easier. But still you get the story across, you get the concept across. Just a lot less difficulty. It's very much recommended to be you play the game with this first, but you don't have to. Obviously this is connected to the Awakening project of some kind, and you can find specific clues with this, which no one else can actually give. So that's the yo-yo. The book is the second one. This is a note or sketchbook that was drawn by Rayleigh when they were a kid, when they were a child, and basically it has several clues to where items would be, as well as several cheat codes, hints, tips, and tricks. Basically, this was all inspired, if you know the game Tunic, this was very much inspired by Tunic's guidebook, which is basically you collect different pages across the map, and basically form the actual essence of the guidebook, how to play the game and the story behind the game and stuff like that. This isn't as that complicated in that way. So you're not are you collecting? Don't remember. Yeah, you do collect several pages, but it's more. These show you how to unlock new things that you wouldn't be able to normally unlock. So yeah, it just comes with kind of tips, tricks, and hints, and lots of other. Yeah, it's kind of like a magic book. Yeah, it kind of is a magic book. It's more like a book that has been that shows you where the magic is. It's not really a magic book. But it basically, yeah, you can learn all the spells that are used in the game from the book, but the book doesn't actually give you magic ability. It's more just an item that can help with that. Quack, 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 quack. This book does also come with rules that are regulated in the game, and if you follow all of these rules through a complete playthrough, it unlocks a secret ending. Magic locator book. Yeah, basically. It's basically a compass in a book, but also it comes with a lot of cheat codes and hints and tips and tricks, kind of, to help along the journey. So yeah, this book, yeah, helps a lot. So yeah, that is that. I am not going to say anything else about the book, because yeah, that otherwise would be spoils. Next we have the Pocket Watch. The Pocket Watch can temporarily pause, rewind, or fast forward time in the overworld, and this can only happen in the overworld. Pausing time would basically kind of just a pause for the player specifically. It doesn't really do anything else. It's more for the player so they can pause and see what to do. It's kind of just like a take a step back, what to do in this, because there's puzzles, there's things, it's complicated sometimes. You go, hold on, let's stop, let's have a look at the screen, what do I do here? Rewinding time is basically undoing a mistake, and you can basically avoid death in the overworld, because if you die in the overworld, it can result in pretty bad stuff, and yeah, we don't want that. And basically rewinding time, you can avoid death before it happens. Fast forwarding time would speed up everything, can help with puzzles, can do things, and can actually also allow access to some areas as well. Then we have the medallion, which is the strongest one, and this is a very weird one. It's very strange, but it's something that I'm just like, I really want this to be a thing. So basically, it unlocks the full potential of an item where it is used. So you, let's say you find an item in the overworld, that's the normal overworld, and you use the medallion, and it unlocks the full potential of it in that time. And then it erases all other items which are that item in the other times, because actually the different items in different times actually have different abilities depending on the time it is. So basically you can only use that one item, that one instance of the item in that time, in all inventories, in all times. So that once you use the medallion on an item, that's the item that you're stuck with, and there's no other alternative item that you can kind of switch it with. These provide basically positive and negative effects at the same time, depending on the time of the item, where it is. This also includes basically a dialogue box of the description of what the item does for every item. Let me kind of explain this in a little bit easier way. So let's say this square, well, let's actually say we have 3 squares. Each of these squares is a different time period. I swear you could make the squares different colors. Apparently not. Format? Shapes? No? Oh. Oh well. I guess I can't change them right now. So yeah, we have squares, and we also the time of the booty shaking, oh my gosh. Do I really want to know? Oh no. Okay. So let's say these 3 squares are 3 different time zones that you can jump to, right? And if you use the medallion in, let's say, the first one, right, like this one, these other 2 would cease to exist, and you could only use this one, but it goes across to all 3 time zones. You can use them in every single one, whilst you're not usually able to do that. But you're stuck with the ability that it gained in this timeline. Basically, you're stuck with it. It lasts throughout. Where normally, like, you'd be able to use like these 3 items independently, because each like timeline has its own items, right? Like their own independent timelines and different inventories. So it's not the same item every time. They change over time. So if you had the yo-yo, you could transport both this one and this one to the same time, and you can just send them back and forth, basically, wherever you want. The medallion kind of erases the other 2, or the several items, and makes it so that the item is usable across all of them. But you're stuck with the ability that you gain with that. If that makes any sense, it's explained horribly. Okay, let's touch on themes quickly. Themes are a big, important part of games. I think a game should have a theme, themes to kind of connect to, and kind of work through, in order to like present like a story. You're not only just telling a story, but you also want to convey something in the very flesh and blood of the story. So these themes I'm looking at in particular, so family, friendship, working through grief and trauma, having determination and perseverance through this, consequences of actions, which is a relatively self-explanatory, recovery of the self, and facing the truth and acceptance, and then also working through depersonalization. And overall, we want to have a positive kind of spin on the game. It's very kind of positive. I want it to be more positive and inclusive. That's just me, how I like to convey things. I believe myself to be a positive, inclusive person. I want to promote that, and so I'm going to make material that it does promote that. I'm not going to make material that doesn't promote that. I'm going to promote the material that I think should be promoted, which is positivity, inclusivity, and that kind of stuff, and these themes, which are important. I'm going to convey these themes because I believe in them. This was the suggested content. Why? I don't know. I was asked how many cheese wheels are there. I was like, okay, I guess I'm pretty sure, 90% sure that there is 1 cheese wheel that I've written down to be one of the kitchen areas, the large kitchen areas in a very specific area of the game. I could make it into an item if you guys really, really wanted. Just have your own item. It can just be the cheese wheel and do something. I don't know. I don't know what it would do, but I guess if you really wanted your own say, you could just make the cheese wheel. I don't know. You guys could decide what the cheese wheel does. Yes, give us a cheese wheel. I mean, that's the whole entire point, right? If you guys want an item, you can make the cheese wheel. You can like determine what the cheese wheel does, as long as it's not too overpowered. That's fine. Then it's fine with me. It needs to be at least somewhat regulated. Okay. Music. Music is actually pretty much done. It's actually one of the first things I worked on when I came to this. I started working on music pretty much immediately when I got the idea of how will this game sound? How will this work out? I didn't actually have music development experience at all before this kind of was brought upon me, but I came up with melodies, leitmotifs, and kind of just made it work over, I think it was like last 3 years, which I've been working on the soundtrack. So yeah, that's one thing out of the way. I might make some changes here and there, so it's not completely final, but it's mostly done from what I believe, and from what I feel. There's a lot there. There's a lot of music there that exists. So yeah, we've got that pretty much sorted. So with music, I went for an 8-bit feel because it's an 8-bit game. It's going to be pixelated. So had the 8-bit kind of aesthetic, topped with more complicated instruments involved in it. So there's bass guitars, electric guitars. There's lots of different things. And yeah, the most repeated leitmotifs that I use is the heartbeat, which is like the beep, beep, beep. It's actually E, it's just done several times, but it's also kind of used as an element in music, very much so, topped with Raylene's melody. Obviously, Raylene is the main character. So yeah, and for this, I actually didn't use anything other than online programs. So I found this kind of fork of music kind of ways through the beatbox. So beatbox is kind of a chiptune kind of just synthesizer basically. And yeah, I basically found this whole entire fork of beatbox, which comes with Jumbox, Ultrabox, and Synthbox. I use all 4 of those in various instances because they all do different things. They're all the same kind of concept, but they're very different in how they run and how they work, and how they feel. The cheese already went. Yes, I already explained the cheese. That's that. And that's as far as I got with the presentation. I didn't really know what else to add, honestly. I didn't know like what else I could include. Like I wanted to cover like a lot of the basics of the game whilst not getting into spoiler content exactly. I wanted to cover the like overall material just like that, kind of like a brief overview, exactly what I'm thinking, exactly what I'm trying to convey. That was not explaining it. You did an amazing job at it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did try. It's all kind of just ideas and concepts that are just here. They're just lying in here and also down there in my folder of things. And across multiple Word documents as well. They do exist on. I love the concept so much. Oh, I appreciate that. My gosh, you guys are amazing. You always are amazing. I shouldn't be surprised at this, but I am slightly surprised that you guys took it so well. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I'm surprised. I'm a little shocked. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. You don't have to be sorry. It's okay. It's alright. Definitely great start to you in your streams. I appreciate that. Normally we don't talk about this. This is like the first time I've actually brought this up in a stream. Normally we're just like talking or just chatting, jumping off of chat, then playing some like games in the background as well. Yes, you're welcome to ban her alt. Please do. Please. I would love that very much so. I'll allow that. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, I agree. 100%. That's actually funny. Comedy. Haha. So yeah, normally we don't do stuff like this. This is just kind of a new thing. I just wanted to kind of explain to kind of explain kind of what's going on in the background. But yeah, that's kind of that. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to do so. You're welcome to basically, yeah, shoot any questions you like. I'm happy to answer. If I don't deem it to be spoiler worthy, you're welcome to go on about it.